We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Thursday, February 8th. It is 5:04 p.m. my time, 8:04 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry, I was having some mic issues. Just wanted to clear those things up. Okay, now, what do we want to talk about today? Well, of course, I'm going to bring up Tucker Carlson. And with Tucker Carlson, we're going to talk about how, as Hillary Clinton just put it the other day, is a useful idiot. I'm going to play that clip. We're going to play some of the clips from Tucker's interview, aka propaganda, with Putin. And we're going to show that this piece that everyone let's just preface this right off the bat, okay? The ability for journalists, and I mean actual journalists, not entertainers, because remember, Tucker Carlson's not a journalist. He's not a news broadcaster. He's an entertainment host. That is the case that he made in court when it came to Fox News. So I want people to understand that what Tucker Carlson is not an actual journalist. And what he is doing with Putin is not journalism. So when people say, oh, well, journalists should be able to interview warlords and dictators, that's totally fine. Totally fine. That is totally understandable. As a journalist, you should be able to interview those people to get the story out, but also have hard-hitting questions to question them in whatever their motives are, their intent is, whatever it might be. What Tucker Carlson, and I'll show you the clips, what Tucker Carlson is doing is just a propaganda tour. He's just there, and you'll see in the videos, he doesn't really, well, not that he doesn't really, he just doesn't push back. He lets Putin just talk. He just lets him, he gives him the show to just blabber on. So what we're going to see is Tucker Carlson pretty much lay like a little, I mean, I think she said a little puppy, but I don't want to misquote what Hillary said. She called him a puppy, but he is a propagandist. And I've watched a little bit of this interview, and I have to say it's quite telling. Not that we were to expect anything of Tucker Carlson beyond the fact that he was going to still let Putin talk, right? Remember, he's not a journalist. He's not there to actually question anything. He is purely there to let Putin push his talking points. If we remember correctly, or remember from yesterday, I brought up the fact that Putin is using Tucker Carlson. And that was brought up by Hillary Clinton. But again, this is the woman who called it during the 2016 election. She called out what Donald Trump would be like. She called out exactly what Putin would be like. She called out what their allegiance and their partnership, what would be like. And here is Hillary Clinton. Well, here's, as we find some of this. So this is, and by the way, this is a 2-hour interview, okay? 2-hour interview. Because, again, people on Twitter love to watch 2-hour interviews because that makes total sense. No, it doesn't. All right, so here is a clip from that interview with Hillary Clinton.
Tucker Carlson is in Moscow right now.
Right.
The first American, I'll say, journalist to interview Putin since the war in Ukraine began. What does that tell you about Tucker Carlson and right-wing media and also Vladimir Putin?
Well, it shows me what I think we've all known. He's what's called a useful idiot. I mean, if you actually read translations of what's being said on Russian media, they make fun of him. I mean, he's like a puppy dog. You know, he somehow has, after having been fired from so many outlets in the United States, I would not be surprised if he emerges with a contract with a Russian outlet, because he is a useful idiot. He says things that are not true. He parrots Vladimir Putin's pack of lies about Ukraine. So I don't see why Putin wouldn't give him an interview, because through him, he can, continue to lie about what his, objectives are in Ukraine and what he expects to see happen. It's really quite sad that not just somebody like Tucker Carlson, who has, as I said, been fired so many times because he seems unable to, correlate his reporting with the truth, but also because it's a sign that there are people in this country right now who are like a fifth column for Vladimir Putin. And why? I don't know. I mean, why are certain Republicans throwing their lot in? Why are, other Americans basically believing Putin? Why did Trump believe Putin more than our 11 intelligence agencies?
I don't know. Do you have a working theory?
I do have a working theory. But it's more than just the political partisan advantage. There is a yearning for leaders who can kill and imprison their opponents, destroy the press, lead a life that is one of impunity, unbound by any laws. There's a yearning among certain people in our country for that kind of leadership. And I find that absolutely gobsmacking terrifying.
And that's the truth. You have Tucker Carlson, and as Jay puts it, money, 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 money. You've got Tucker Carlson, who is really, up to whoever the highest bidder is. We know that. He pushes conspiracy theories, whether he believes in them or not, because he knows that clicks drive views, and views make money. And as I explained it yesterday, Tucker Carlson is dependent on Elon Musk. Elon Musk is dependent on Tucker Carlson. They are codependents in the situation, right? Tucker Carlson gets fired from Fox News. The only place that'll take him is Elon Musk, who courts him. And from what I've read, also Don Lemon, who was fired from CNN, courts Tucker Carlson to say, come over to Twitter, start your own Twitter show over here, because that's exactly what somebody who's been fired from a major mainstream news media company, that's their immediate thing. You pay me, because that's what's happening here. Tucker Carlson is 100% getting paid. The question is how much? We don't know. But he is for sure getting paid to make this show. There's no other reason that Tucker Carlson would move over to Twitter to make a show if there wasn't some sort of financial backing. And again, not sure how much. Wouldn't be surprised if it was in the millions. Wouldn't be surprised if this was another thing that Elon Musk is backing. I mean, just 2 nights ago, I think it was, I tweeted about Elon Musk is now helping Gina Carano in her legal pursuit to sue Disney and Lucasfilm because she was discriminated against. And just so people understand, Gina Carano, who had a career in fighting, MMA, then got into doing stunt work and action films, and then eventually got herself into being part of the Mandalorian lore, the Star Wars show under Jon Favreau. During that time, and I think it was 2021, Gina Carano made some comments that were not only anti-Semitic, but also transphobic. She also is an election denier, and she makes fun of people who wore masks. God forbid you wear a mask to protect people from getting sick. I mean, again, wearing a mask during COVID or even after, like, it's still out there. It's not going away. But even if you wear a mask, you're not hurting anyone else. You're not infringing on their freedoms, their liberties, their rights. You're not doing anything. You're not bothering that person. If anything, you're making sure that you're not spreading whatever contagion, if you are infectious, onto that person, whether they care or not. But again, the fact that somebody wears a mask is what triggers these people so much. Tucker Carlson being one of them for sure. So Gina Carano is getting helped legally, the funding to sue Lucasfilm and Disney because she was discriminated against when she was fired. Now, if I remember correctly, Disney, Lucasfilm, they are at-will companies. At will, meaning I as an employer can fire you. I as an employee can quit at will. We can do either way, especially If you do something like, I don't know, be anti-Semitic or transphobic and hurt the brand that you work for, aka Disney, okay? If you go against the mouse, you do anything to go against the mouse in the sense of just like basic human decency, you're going to get fired, just like you would get fired of any other job. If a company came across your online profile after you said transphobic, anti-Semitic things, comparing your strife to what happened in the concentration camps, as well as those who, Jewish people during World War II who were trying to flee and be safe from the Nazis, any company you work for, those things became public and was brought to HR's attention, you would either have a talking to or you'd be fired. Because again, Gina Carano is on a major multi-million dollar show that was incredibly, and still is, but incredibly popular during 2020, 2021, pivotal times when everyone was at home. During Christmas, during the holidays, what comes on? The Mandalorian. We watch it with our family. It's a get-together moment. Then you find out that Gina Carano says, oh, wearing masks and the persecution of being a conservative is equal to the treatment of Jewish people during World War II. Not the same. I'm surprised I even have to say that, but it's not the same. And just keep in mind that Republicans, conservatives, MAGA, whatever you want to call them, they all have this same quality. Oh no, I'm the victim. Remember, whatever they do, they never want to take responsibility for, and they go, oh no, I'm the victim. I'm being persecuted. It's a witch hunt. Everyone's attacking me. You fuck around, you find out. You have an action, there's a consequence. That's just the way the world works. So when you see Elon Musk promote Tucker Carlson and Tucker Carlson be dependent on Elon Musk to promote him, it is a quid pro quo. They are dependent on each other. He needs the views. He needs the money. There's no other way to put it. You don't leave and get fired from Fox News and all of a sudden say, oh, you know what? I'm going to start a little talk show, if you will, on Twitter. No, you're financially incentivized to join a Twitter or create a Twitter show because you have no other options. And that's what's happening here. Tucker Carlson is using X, Twitter, as the platform to help push propaganda. And Hillary Clinton is on the money when she calls him out for being Putin's puppet. He's a useful idiot. Russian TV makes fun of him and uses his own words that are pro-Russian, pro-Putin against him. Now, there's one interview I want to bring up, and I'm going to end up making a what was that episode on this, because everyone needs to remember this moment. This is what happens when you go against people who are intellectually superior than you and are actual journalists. Okay? Because remember, Tucker Carlson, even though in this clip, if I remember correctly, he tries to say that he's a journalist. And if anyone knows the clip that I'm talking about the Crossfire show that Tucker Carlson had and Jon Stewart came on. And after that appearance with Jon Stewart, just fucking devastating, crushed him. The show was canceled. Okay? And I think it's a great representation of the quality of Tucker Carlson, and also not even the quality, but the fact that he's not genuine, he's not sincere, he's not a journalist. Nobody should consider Tucker Carlson a journalist. Just like when you see people online, they're like, I'm a citizen journalist. No. Calling yourself a citizen journalist sounds even worse. Okay? It's like a copy of a journalist. It's a wish.com, it's a Temu, it's a Walmart version. When you call yourself a citizen journalist, I immediately don't even consider you a legitimate person. When you say, I'm a citizen journalist, just call yourself a journalist. If you are legitimately a journalist, you're reporting on the facts on the scene. You're there in real time. Just call yourself a journalist. But when you throw citizen in front of it, it kind of reminds me like if someone were to describe like, oh, it's kid this, right? It's kid Superman or like kid Batman, or it's like a young version that's immature and irresponsible. So when someone's like, I'm a citizen journalist, I immediately do not take you seriously. Because most of the time that people say they're citizen journalists, I can expect that they're coming from the right. Most of the time they are, if not all of them. Like Jack Posobiec, the guy who was like, oh, Pizzagate, Comet Pizza. Which, by the way, I don't know if people have seen this, and I'll play a clip after this. MAGA is eating their own. And if anyone knows the clip that we play on the Tony Michaels podcast, guy with the last name Sanchez, where that came from, I'll explain that in a moment, in a second. But that all comes from this one person that's attacking another person, Jack Posobiec. So let's just quickly watch this clip with Tucker Carlson and Jon Stewart. But this clip right here on Crossfire is exactly why, one, shows like mine, Tony's, Midas Touch, Hal Sparks are crucial. Because they're the only ones that will actually call attention to the idiocy, the moronic nature of these people who consider them journalists or whatever it might be. You know, truth to power is what's happening here. And I try to deliver that with humor and comedy while also trying to break down, you know, pretty messed up situations or complicated situations or whatever they might be. Tony says, say my name. Say my name. Are we talking about Seb Gorka? Again, we'll play him in a second, but give me 1 moment. We're going to play a clip of Tucker Carlson and Jon Stewart.
At these debates?
Yeah, you go to Spin Alley.
You know what's interesting, though?
You're as big a on your show as you are on any show.
Now you're getting into it.
Spin Alley.
What are you talking about? I mean, at these debates?
Yeah, you go to Spin Alley, the place called Spin Alley.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't you think that for people watching at home, that's kind of a drag, that you're literally walking to a place called Deception Lane? Like, it's Spin Alley. It's don't you see that's the issue I'm trying to talk to you guys?
I actually believe I had a lot of friends who worked for President Bush. I went to college with
Neither
some
of us was ever in the spin room, actually.
No, I did. I went to Larry King's show. They actually believe what they're saying. They want to persuade you. That's what they're trying to do by spinning. But I don't doubt for a minute these people who work for President Bush, who I disagree with and everything, they believe that stuff, John. This is not
Here's
a
what I
lie
think.
or deception at all.
I think they believe
in him.
I think they believe.
Just like I believe in my guys.
I think they believe President Bush would do a better job, and I believe the Kerry guys believe President Kerry would do a better job. But what I believe is they're not making honest arguments. So what they're doing is, in their mind, the ends justify the means.
I hate
That's
so.
not true at all.
I do think you're more fun on your show. Just my opinion.
But
Okay,
just,
Jon Stewart goes
You know what's
one-on-one with
interesting,
his
though?
fans.
You're as big on your
Answer the
show as you are on any show.
So that was one of them. Let's see if I can find the other one. This is the full. Let's see. There was a 14-minute clip. Okay. Let's see if I can find it in this one.
You, the two of you, I hate to see it.
We enjoy it.
Let me ask you a question.
Wait, let me ask you a question first.
All right.
Is John Kerry really the best? I mean, I think,
This
John
is,
Kerry's
of course,
the
back when
best.
Tucker was wearing the
I
bow
thought
tie.
Lincoln was good.
Is he the best the Democrats can do?
Is he the best the Democrats can
this
do?
year.
I'd always
Out
thought
of the whole field.
in a democracy, and again, I don't know, I've only lived in this country, that there's a process, what do they call them, primaries.
Right.
And they don't always go with the best, but they go with whoever won. So is he the best? According to the process.
Right, but of the 9 guys running, who do you think was best? Do you think he was the best? Most impressive?
The most impressive?
Yeah.
I thought Al Sharpton was very impressive. In occasional newspapers and television. Here's just what I wanted to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Stop.
You're good.
Stop hurting America.
Okay, now
And come work for us, because we, as the people.
How do you pay?
The people, not well.
better than CNN, I'm sure.
But you can sleep at night. See, the thing is, we need your help. Right now you're helping the politicians and the corporations, and we're left out there to mow our
lawns. You just
lawns.
said we're too rough on them when they make mistakes.
No, you're not too rough on them. You are part of their strategies. your partisan, what do you call it, hacks.
Wait, John, wait, let me
so-
tell you something valuable that I think we do that I'd like to see you
Something
do.
valuable?
Yeah, no, it's
I would
nice
like
when,
to- I would
when
like to hear
politicians,
it.
and I'll tell you, when politicians come on,
Yeah.
it's nice to get them to try and answer the question. And in order to do that, we try and ask them pointed questions. I want to contrast our questions with some questions you asked John Kerry recently.
If you want to compare your show to a comedy show, you're more than
but
welcome
here's,
to.
here's the point.
If
Kerry doesn't have.
If that's your goal,
No, it's not.
I wouldn't aim for us. I'd aim for
Here's
Seinfeld.
the problem.
That's
Kerry
a very
won't-
good show.
Kerry won't come on this show. He will come on your show. Let me
Right, quite a bit.
know the opportunity.
My role isn't. I don't
You
think.
can ask him a real question, don't you think? Instead of saying,
I don't think I have to. By the way, I yes.
Well, it's
At this, you're doing theater when you should be doing debate, which would be great.
no, it's
Not honest. What you do is not
element, of
honest.
course,
What you do is
perfectly-
partisan hackery. And I'll tell you
you
why
have
I
John
know
Kerry
it.
on your show and you sniff his throne, and you're accusing us of partisan hackery?
Absolutely.
You've got to be kidding, man. He
You're
comes
on
and you literally
CNN.
say,
The show that leads into me is puppets making crank phone calls. What is wrong with you?
well, I'm just saying, there's no reason for you, when you have this marvelous opportunity not to be the guy's butt boy, to go ahead and be his butt boy.
Yes,
Come on,
no.
it's embarrassing.
I was absolutely.
Ooh, talk about butt boy. Who's the real butt boy here? I think Tucker Carlson is the butt boy for not only Donald Trump, but more importantly, Putin. Putin is the person in which he sniffs, licks, touches, whatever is his fancy. No judgment. But let's just call it what it is here. The butt boys, oh boy, the butt boys here would be between Tucker Carlson and Putin. We see that in the interviews. We see that in the way in which Tucker is, I'm just asking questions. That's all I'm doing. I'm just asking questions. Nothing more than that. It's not that you're asking questions. It's that you are allowing and leading. Like if this was, there was a lawyer and there was a witness on the stand, you might say, hey, those are leading questions. The interview that he does with Putin is leading questions where he just allows him, says, oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Nord Stream. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. And Tucker Carlson is like, when asked the question, is this a serious talk show or is this not serious? And he goes, oh, serious. So this whole interview that he does with Putin is literally just 2 hours of Putin talking nonstop propaganda with a history lesson, really. It's him either being a revisionist in history, but more or less just saying, like, here are the things that happened. And he goes through and he's like, and then the year was 1994. And that was the time in which... That's all that this interview is. And I'll play a couple clips from it. But I just want to remind people that people like Jon Stewart, myself, I mean, like, obviously putting myself to on a pedestal or just in comparison, I don't think is equal because I'm not anything like Jon Stewart. But anyone who does what Jon Stewart does or what I do or what Tony does or what Hal does or what Midas Touch does, like all these different people, that are bringing up and calling attention to and putting, again, sunlight is the best disinfectant. It is great on us and good on us to call attention to these people who are doing harm. I mean, just like Jon Stewart said back in 2004, this is political hackery. They're not doing any good to the country. They're causing more harm. So when Jon Stewart's like, just stop, please stop, it's because the junk food propaganda, political hackery that they do on these types of shows, or that Tucker does on his new Twitter show, Tucker on X, TCN on X, like it's nothing but propaganda. It's nothing but nonsense. It's nothing but conspiracies and misinformation, or really disinformation. It's intentional. It's not like, oh, someone naive is spreading a bunch of false information. No, it is intentionally done. It is a disinformation campaign done by Tucker Carlson. And then, of course, you have Republicans in both the Senate and the House who are like, yes, Ukraine's the bad one here. Ukraine was the one that caused this whole thing. Obviously, completely wanting to allow Putin all forgiveness for invading. Okay, and again, if we're going to talk about invasions here, like Republicans love to talk about the southern border, let's talk about the invasions the invasion that happened in Russia, which, by the way, if we remember correctly, Putin and his advisors believed that they were going to be able to invade Ukraine and take it over in a matter of hours, like 12 hours, something absurd like that. And I don't know how many, I mean, we're over a year now. So, I mean, we're really almost 2 years. I mean, when did Russia originally, let's see, just so I have it for myself here. We're going on almost 2 years. February 24th, 2022. It has been almost 2 years. And Putin and their gang of merry dictators and war criminals thought that they would be able to get it done in a matter of hours. A matter of hours, less than a day, we'll be able to do it. Look at it now. We are 16 days away from 2 years that the Ukrainian people have had to live through this because one guy was like, that country's mine. It's Russian. It's mine. I want it. And of course, Tucker Carlson's show, and I put that in big air quotes there, Don Jr. air quotes, is that it is Russian. It's Russian. That's their property. They own it. They deserve it. They can go into whatever property, area, land that they believe is theirs and take over, which I don't think I need to tell you is a very slippery slope once you allow someone to do that. So it's insane and crazy for us Americans, Republicans specifically, to look at what the situation is between Ukraine, the war between Ukraine and Russia, and say, we shouldn't give Ukraine any more money. Now, I'm totally for investing more money into housing and unhoused and healthcare in this country and education. Sure, take money away from the Pentagon, take the Department of Defense, but Republicans won't do that. Republicans get all upset that they're like, oh, we're sending money to Israel, we're sending money to Ukraine. We're not sending any money here at home. Okay, great. Well, then propose something. Propose it. I have yet to see a Republican lawmaker put forward a bill that says, hey, you know what? We're going to put $100 billion into fixing our unhoused, our homeless situation here in America. We are actually going to talk the talk or walk the walk that we've done so far. But you won't see them do that. It's the same reason that Republicans say, oh, guns, it's not a gun problem. It's a mental health problem. Okay, well, all right, bet. I agree. There are mental health issues, which is directly related to healthcare. If we had universal healthcare where people didn't go broke trying to pay a medical bill or an ER visit. I mean, Jesus, years ago, I went to the ER when I lived in San Francisco, and I was like, oh, my eye's irritated. It was a cyst that I had right here. And I was like, I don't know what it is. So I went to the emergency room, and they're like, oh, it'll go away with a warm compress kind of thing. But they put eye drops in. The whole visit for me to go check out my eye to make sure that there wasn't like some cut or there wasn't any foreign object in there or anything like that. Guess what? They said, that's about $800 to $900. Insane. Just to go get a couple eye drops and someone say, oh, this is what it is. Go do some warm compresses. The idea that Republicans want to say there is not funding for America. Okay, great. Do it. Propose it. Put it forward. Make a bill. Sponsor it. But we know they won't. The border's the problem. Okay, here's a bill that addresses it. No, we're not going to vote for it. Mental health is the problem with guns. It's not guns. Okay, well, then let's invest in it. No, no, we won't do that. Well, okay, well, then what are you going to do? And that's what we have to identify that is a big issue with Republicans is they talk a ton. They do not stop talking about the problems. They're like, this is a problem. Healthcare is a problem. Social Security, Medicare is a problem. The border is a problem. Violence is a problem. Guns is a problem. Inflation, grocery prices, gas prices. This is a problem. We're sending too many jobs overseas. That's a problem. We got to invest in America. Okay, well, at every point that Democrats have tried to address that, right? I mean, how many hundreds of school or mass shootings do we have to sit through before Republicans go, all right, enough is enough. Let's just do something about it now. How many times do we have to put forward a bill from the Democratic Party to say, okay, if guns are a problem, mental health, let's put our money where our mouth is here. Let's actually fund in resources. They don't want to do it. Okay, the border's a problem. Let's give you the people, the resources, the technology. Border Patrol's like, yes, please give it to us. We need it. We have issues. We need to address it. And the Republicans like, we don't want to do that. Nah, Donald Trump, Daddy Trump said no. We can't do it. We have to make him happy. Weak for a bunch of people who claim to pull themselves up by their bootstraps or pew, 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 I'm a strong alpha male. They really are weak. They really are weak. And they're not only weak, but they're traitors. Again, look at how they address the situation of Ukraine and Russia. Pro-Russia, pro-Putin. Putin totally has the right to go in and invade another country, kill people who don't agree with their rule, their decision. And Republicans are like, yeah, okay, that seems about right. Yeah, why not? It is honestly, every day I'm always like, I don't even know how these people exist in reality. They say one thing, they do another. They're hypocrites every point, 24/7, 365 or 366 this year. But they claim to love America and they claim to want to invest and put America first. But when do they put America first? What do you think happens if they put Russia first and say, oh, you know what? We're not going to fund Ukraine anymore in terms of defending themselves. We're going to let them do what they need to do. We're going to let Russia go after Ukraine and take over. I don't know. Kind of seems like a signal to the rest of the world. Like if there was some sort of issue between, I don't know, China and any regions, nations, countries that they saw fit to take over. There's a role and a responsibility that America has as a president has as being the leader of the free world, is that you step up and protect those who cannot be protected. We have a responsibility and a role in the world to be leaders. And Republicans are like, no, whatever. We don't really care. You go invade, you go do this. And this is an example right here that we're watching with Tucker Carlson, where he goes on and does this interview with Putin, and everyone is okay with it on the right. And again, if Tucker Carlson was a legitimate journalist doing a legitimate interview and asking him hard-hitting questions and trying to push him to understand exactly his role and his opinion on certain things. Not let him just like, oh, just keep talking. Just keep talking. If he actually was there to be a journalist and ask questions, that'd be a totally different story. Because again, real journalists have gone into different countries, regions, talking to pretty bad people, dictators, people who are breaking human rights violations. Like this is someone who has gone in to the Kremlin and just accepted everything that he had to say. No questions asked, right? Tucker Carlson, I'm just asking questions. Well, I have yet to see a question that you're asking Putin, other than, again, leading questions where you set him up, you just assist, and then he comes down to spike it. Allowing him, Putin, to do the job of spreading propaganda. And then, again, this has been a sought-after interview that Tucker Carlson claims to have, and now he's on Twitter where Elon Musk is going to promote it even further so it gets eyeballs, so it gets views. It would be totally different if this was a legitimate interview. like an actual interview asking him real questions, not just saying, hey, so how do you feel today? Because that's really what it is. You have a guy paid to have a Twitter show go on and spread propaganda. And here's a few clips. I watched a little bit, and then Ron Filipkowski went through and he's actually cut this together.
Bush Jr.'s father, Bush Sr., to visit his place on the ocean. Afterwards invited.
And he says, we are now 36 minutes. I think there's more than that too, but let's just say we are now 36 minutes into Putin's history lesson. He hasn't answered a single question from Tucker, and we are now up to the presidency of George H.W. Bush. Remember when I told you that he was going through the history in a revisionist tale of history? Where Tucker, and there's a point at which Tucker tries, I think, to ask a question or interrupts him, and Putin's not having it, and he's like, oh, okay. Because again, it's just like Putin knew that he was going to take up time. He was going to just totally blow smoke into this interview to waste time. And here we go. We're now 29 minutes into the Putin's history lesson. Tucker hasn't been able to get a single question. Remember, the question in the beginning of this show or the episode that he has is like, is this a serious show or is this like a non-serious show? And he's like, oh, serious. And Putin's like, great, because I'm going to answer the same way. Either way you answer that, I'm gonna do my version of that, and it was going to be the same one either way. Here's another one. We're now 42 minutes into Putin's history lesson. He hasn't answered one question with Tucker, and we've now reached the year 2008.
It says that Ukraine is a neutral state, and in 2008, suddenly the doors or gates to NATO were open to it. It says that
So again, this sounds like a lot of, as Republicans have it, a lot of, oh, woe me. Oh, no, that's not fair. Very much seems like Putin, this very tough, badass man on the back of horse. Here we go. 46 minutes into the history lesson, Putin stops to mock Tucker for applying to the CIA when he was younger and getting rejected. Ooh.
with the backing of CIA, of course, the organization you wanted to join back in the day, as I understand. We should thank God they didn't let you in, although it is a serious organization. I understand.
Dude, what did Tucker think was going to happen? He showed up to this interview, was like, I'm gonna this interview is gonna break the internet. Not in the way that you think, man. I mean, so far from what I've seen, not only has Tucker Carlson not really been able to ask a question, but he also is getting made fun of in front of his face. And Tucker, of course, is like, well, I can't do anything because I know what happens to people who ask questions and also challenge Putin. They just kind of go missing. And we'll keep it there. You infer what you want from there, but of course, whenever somebody challenges or questions Putin, they just all of a sudden are no longer employed. They're no longer there. They just don't exist anymore. Here we go. 49 minutes into Putin's history lesson. Tucker dares once again to try to interrupt him to talk about the present day, but Putin isn't having it. He goes right back to where he left off in 2014.
So, but that was 8 years before the current conflict started. So what was the trigger for you? What was the moment where you decided you had to do this?
Спровоцировал конфликт изначально.
Initially, it was the coup in Ukraine that provoked the conflict. By the way, back then, the representatives of 3 European countries, Germany, Poland...
So, but that was 8...
Oh my God, this is getting too good. Okay. Now, 52 minutes in. Keep in mind, this is like a 2 hour and 8 minute interview. Tucker is now 52 minutes into holding his face since he hasn't been allowed to talk. This is peaceful sentiment and my God, this is, hold on, let me see if I can find the other clip. Okay, here we go. This is another one. Putin is just mocking Tucker at this point. He tried to interrupt him, his 30-minute speech 3 times. Putin let him know that he better not interrupt again. And Tucker is sitting there in agony with all his questions, whatever those questions might be. And he has to listen to this old man ramble worse than Trump. It really is. I mean, Donald Trump's like, excuse me, okay, I could take those documents. Okay, excuse me, okay, very rude. Let me finish, okay, let me finish. I waved him and I said, you're declassified. Okay, very nice. You know, I know Putin. Okay, Putin's a great guy. Kim Jong-un, great guy. Okay. Xi Jinping, a great guy. Okay, love them. They're all dictators. Love them so much. Okay. They love me. Okay, I love them. We love each other. We're perfect. Okay, we're like 2 peas in a pod. You know, funny thing about peas in a pod, that is Donald Trump in a nutshell when it comes to this interview. Excuse me, okay. I know Putin. Okay, you're gonna ask Putin for questions. Okay, I just. Hey, you remember that one time that I jerked Putin off? It was pretty cool, pretty nice. Okay, even better, bareback on a horse. I gotta say, you know, reach around, pretty nice, magnificent, if I might say. No one gives better hand jobs than me on a horse. Oh boy. Tucker Carlson doing this interview is making him a laughing stock. Now, people like Ben Shapiro, like, I'm not going to judge. I'm going to see the interview and I'm going to see what I get out of it. Okay, bro, like, fine. Don't judge a book by its cover. But when you've seen excerpts from the book before the book was released, and not even this interview being this book, I just mean the totality and history of Putin and Tucker Carlson. You know the story. You know what's going to happen. You know that this isn't a legitimate interview. You know that he's not going to ask legitimate questions. And as we see in this thing, he gets mocked to his face again and again and again. He's not taken seriously because Tucker Carlson's not. He literally made fun of him trying to apply to the CIA. This is, oh my God, it is, again, exactly what we knew. So when you hear Ben Shapiro, let me see if I can find this clip. When you hear Ben Shapiro go, I'm not going to judge the interview before it happens. I'm not going to, sorry, there's a press conference with Biden, which we'll go to in a second. Here's the clip right here of Ben Shapiro.
The blowback that Tucker Carlson is receiving for doing an interview with Vladimir Putin. Now, I haven't seen the interview with Vladimir Putin. You haven't seen the interview with Vladimir Putin. No one has seen the interview with Vladimir Putin. That interview is supposed to hit the airwaves tonight on X. And as I've said, I'm not going to prejudge the interview. The question,
but you can prejudge the interview because you can safely assume, based on both people, their history, their character or lack thereof, that you know exactly how it's going to go. And it's going exactly how we thought it would. It literally exactly what Hillary Clinton said. He's a useful idiot. He is there to just repeat what is being said by Putin and letting Putin talk. Even if he was like, oh, even if Tucker Carlson was trying to ask a question of like, hey, so what's your favorite color? Or like, what's the go-to dish in Russia? Like, even if he was trying to ask, Putin wasn't even having it. He's like, no. Let me finish my story on the 12-hour history of Russia and Ukraine.
Question is whether Tucker asked him any hard questions or whether it was sort of a massage.
Nope, it is a massage.
I don't know because I haven't seen it. It will be a bad act of journalism if Tucker does not ask him.
Not a journalist. This isn't journalism.
Some questions about, say, Evan Gershkovich, the Wall Street Journal reporter who's being held by Vladimir Putin.
I can almost guarantee that is not going to be brought up. And if it is, good luck getting an answer.
As effectively a hostage, or if it doesn't ask him about what the end of the war looks like, or if it doesn't push him on his murderous record, or
you're not going to see that. It's going to be a big circle jerk.
abuse of human rights and his targeting of civilians in Ukraine and all the rest, right? There are a bunch of questions that Tucker ought to ask, but Tucker hasn't asked any of those questions publicly yet, so I have no idea what he asked. The simple fact that Tucker is Tucker and went to Russia is now causing, apparently, some people in the EU to think about sanctioning him. Which again, this is the unbelievable stupidity of politics. People.
Oh no, I don't care if you sanction him or not. Like, do whatever you guys want to do. But what I can say right now is that this interview is not built on goodwill and intent. It's not a good faith argument. He's not going to ask any of those questions. And Jay's right? Look at this. Linda says he will never ask them. Tuckums is scared. He's not going to ask any of that. This is 100% true. This is not an interview. This is a massage. It's him allowing airtime on a pathetic little show on Twitter that is dependent on Elon Musk sharing it, and Elon Musk dependent on Tucker Carlson bringing the hard-hitting facts. And those facts would be Vladimir Putin talking most of the interview where people, and I think what's even funny about this is the fact that Tucker Carlson doesn't get much of a word in from what I've seen so far when I watch it on my own, but then also watching some of the clips that have been cut together. It's also the fact that the interview is literally just Putin talking in Russian, obviously speaking in Russian, because that is his native tongue. That is his language. So all you're hearing is a translation and having to read the captions. The interview is literally just him giving his version of history. It's not the journalistic integrity, not there at all. Not there at all. All right. So I want to quickly, let's talk about Biden really quick. It sounds like Biden is addressing the report that came out today, which basically it just said Biden is not going to be indicted. He's not responsible for anything. He worked with us. All these things. He is removed from any responsibility of having documents and working with the government to give those documents back, which is the complete opposite of what Donald Trump did. All right, here, let's see. Here's a question that was asked by Peter Ducey. And I believe it's just quick, but I think I remember I know the question here.
It's president.
My memory is so bad I let you speak.
It's president.
My memory is so bad I
let you speak. I mean, like just boom, 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 boom. All right, let's see. I think Mediaite was covering some of the stuff together. Here we go.
A shortage of evidence that I willfully retained classified materials related to Afghanistan. On page 12, the special counsel also wrote other documents. The decision to decline criminal charges was straightforward. The evidence suggests that Mr. Biden did not willfully retain these documents.
The opposite of what Donald Trump did. Again, we know that and even recently, it was revealed that there were hidden rooms that they changed the locks to and did not tell the FBI, did not inform that there were additional documents that were behind an area that was not open or was not unlocked. So if we remember the series of events here, Donald Trump took documents. NARA was like, oh shit, we don't have these documents. Who was the last person to have these documents? Oh, well, we're hearing rumblings and we've tracked it down that Donald Trump at one point had these documents, which, by the way, should have stayed in a SCIF, okay? Oh, my God. So he takes the documents, goes down to Mar-a-Lago. They're like, hey, can you give us the documents? And this was all happening. Nobody knew about this. They went to him privately and like, hey, you and also your lawyers were looking for these documents. And Donald Trump was like, I don't have these documents. I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you guys coming after me? This is so unfair. And then he goes, oh, no. I don't. he's like, oh, no, I didn't take any documents. The lawyers are like, nope, he doesn't have any documents. Then we find out there's not only security footage of them moving these boxes around, there's photos taken when they finally go through Mar-a-Lago and their boxes piled up to the fucking ceiling in a bathroom. They're behind the toilet. They're in front of the toilet. They're on the toilet. They're behind some like $3 shower curtain. They're in a ballroom. They're by the fireplace. They're in another storage area. They're by his desk out in the open. Remember, people are coming through this office. Lauren Boebert, Kyle Rittenhouse, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Stephen Miller, Matt Gaetz, all people who took photos with Donald Trump in this office where documents were just in boxes. And then he even bragged about it. I remember the Australian billionaire. He was like, oh, I got these codes, or I got this information on Iranian missile info. That is what Donald Trump had access to. And it's not just what he had access to, it's what he was doing with those secrets. And then not only after he's like, oh no, I gave you everything. Then they were like, nope, you didn't give us everything. Then you had Christina Bobb, who signed the documents, be like, we gave you everything. Only later for her to be like, oh, I was never part of that team. I didn't sign anything. Her signature's on the August 8th, 2022 search warrant, where they went through and like, this is what we found. She was like, I'm not the custodian of records. She was the custodian of records. And then she went back to RSBN to be like, huh, I was not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer for Donald Trump. I was not the custodian of records. She was literally on the air with Fox News and Newsmax and other places. Her and Alina Habba said, how do we know that the FBI didn't plant those documents? How do we know that this wasn't some hoax? Then later on, you find out that Donald Trump is like, oh yeah, I took those documents because they're my documents. I'm the president and they're mine. And I declassified them with my mind and I don't have to tell anybody. And then he's like, well, I've got presidential immunity. Well, that only exists when you're president. You don't have presidential immunity after the fact. You become a citizen. That's why you see Citizen Trump trending everywhere and people talking about Citizen Trump, because Trump was a citizen when he had the documents. He took the documents, held the documents, and then also obstructed justice when they were like, hey, can we get the documents? Big difference between they found documents at the University of Penn Center for Joe Biden. Different than we found documents at Mike Pence's house. Both of these people, Pence and Biden, were like, oh yeah, please search whatever you need to search. I want to make sure that you guys have found everything. That's not the same as Donald Trump. They worked with the FBI. Donald Trump didn't. Donald Trump denied that he had the documents, lied about it, withheld them, moved them around, after which they said, we don't have all the documents. Do you have more documents? He said, no, I don't have more documents. And then he continued to say, well, they planted it. They planted the documents. Eric Trump went on Sean Hannity saying, well, we've got video footage showing how unfair these FBI agents were. Sean Hannity was like, hey, okay, let's see the videotape. He's like, oh, we'll show it in due time. They're not going to show it because the evidence would prove the opposite of what the Trump family is trying to push. It's that they took the documents, withheld the documents, lied about having the documents, gave up some documents, lied about still having documents. And then now, again, we find out that there were hidden rooms that they locked to not allow people to go into when the FBI searched. So you can't tell me that Joe Biden having documents in a garage or in a University of Penn center are the same thing when one works with the FBI and the DOJ and the special counsel, and the other person keeps lying to this day.
Evidence who said I did not willfully retain these documents. In addition, I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. Some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of. Every Memorial Day, we hold a service remembering him, attended by friends and family and the people who loved him. I don't need anyone. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away or passed away. Simple truth is I sat for a 5-hour interview over 2 days of events going back 40 years. At the same time I was managing international crisis, their task was to make a decision about whether to move forward with charges in this case. That's their decision to make. That's the council's decision to make. That's his job. And they decided not to move forward. For any extraneous commentary, they don't know what they're talking about. It has no place in this report. The bottom line is the matter is now closed. I'm going to continue what I've always focused on, my job of being president of the United States of America.
And that's the fact of the matter is that what's also funny about this is Republicans are like, oh, no, we don't want the special counsel. That's not the special counsel that we want. That's not the person that we approve of. It's all a deep state thing. It's all run by Biden. So you're telling me that Biden brought someone in who made an official document that said this about Biden, that he was an old man with a poor memory. You're going to tell me that somebody who works for Biden, who was put into power by Merrick Garland, who again works for Biden, because remember, their whole theory was special counsel works for Biden, aka Jack Smith, the special counsel that was put in there, which was, people are asking who said it, and it's Robert Hur, the Department of Justice special counsel. Robert Hur claimed that he forgot when his son died, Thursday snapping. How in the hell dare he raise that? During a speech responding to Hur's report, which claimed Biden had significantly limited memory and couldn't even remember when his son, Beau Biden, died. That's who said it. That's who wrote in the report. But we have to remember that people are like, oh no, these are people that are being assigned by Joe Biden. Well, okay, if it's assigned by Joe Biden, why would he have that in the report? Why would he put something that is negative about Joe Biden in the report? Why would Joe Biden hire someone to put something in that was going against his memory or his cognitive ability leading up to the election? Doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, that's MAGA, right? You got to remember, this is MAGA who comes up with all these theories, these conspiracies. And when push comes to shove and you have the truth, this report comes out, a couple of these things are not very good in terms of how they reflect on Joe Biden. Like, I could give two shits in comparison to Donald Trump being like, or how Donald Trump continues, I got water in my nose, how Donald Trump continues to say, oh, I aced that cognitive test, a test that is meant to measure any degree of dementia or cognitive degradation. That is what you see here. And a lot of people bring up the fact that this is Comey 2.0. Now, it's not like a couple weeks before the election, but look, this is only fair. They allowed this to be released. They said they agreed to it. This was the investigation that happened. And whether or not, this was intentionally done to attack President Biden, it doesn't make a lick of sense when you look at MAGA and say, oh yeah, it's a deep state conspiracy. It's totally under the directive of Joe Biden. He was the one who told him to make that No, are you kidding me? Like, that's the thing that he's going to have them attack him for? It would rather be something else. Something he could like brush under the carpet or the rug or whatever. But if I were to compare Joe Biden's cognitive abilities and mental capacity, and also just sense of empathy, the guy cares for his family, knows when his son died, which is, it's gross to hear people put that in a report. Like, what is it doesn't do any good, and it also doesn't add any information to the story. The whole goal was, did you take these documents? Did you willingly withhold documents? Did you take them when you left office? Did you intentionally do this to benefit yourselves financially, influence, whatever. I mean, remember, James Comer believes that it's all under, influence peddling for financial gain. If that's truly the case, then the report would indicate that. And again, MAGA doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Now they're like, 25th Amendment, we gotta kick them out. Okay, well, you know who comes in to rule after that, right? Vice President Harris. That's who goes in after that. You dumb fucks, man. You guys do not think any of this through. Impeach Joe Biden. Okay, well, guess who's next up at bat? Vice President Harris. Sorry. Oh, that's a woman. Not only a woman, but she's a woman of color. Oh boy. Get ready, MAGA is about to be triggered. Like, they don't ever think this stuff through. So to the same degree that this is definitely not a Joe Biden conspiracy that he's behind it all. But the idea that Republicans, they're like, oh, this is a bone. We got bone with meat on that we can chew. They don't have anything. Again, look at Donald Trump. I aced that cognitive test. I really aced it. I did a great job, Excuse me, okay? Excuse me. I did a better job than anybody, okay? Woman, man, person, TV. Nikki Pelosi. Did I said Nikki Pelosi, okay? Woman, Nikki Pelosi. That is all that comes out of Donald Trump. Literally goes to rallies and goes, I aced that cognitive test, okay? They said, give me a cognitive one, make it hard, okay? Make it very hard. And that's what they gave him. They're like, hey, can you identify the giraffe? Excuse me, giraffe, long neck, okay? Black tongue. Pick out the rhino. Do 2 + 2. Can you do a memory test for me? That's all that it is. I mean, the MOCA test is literally online. You could just Google MOCA test, and you can see it's like a 1-page form with a few animals that you have to draw to or circle, and then you have some other basic questions there. It's not an IQ test. It's not an intelligence test. It's a cognitive assessment. It's, again, literally in the name, Montreal Cognitive Assessment. It's there to tell you if you've got signs of dementia or if your mental cognitive ability is declining in any way. And we know that it is for Donald Trump. Look at him. He's mixing up people and saying weird shit, can barely drink a glass of water, doesn't know how to go down steps at a graduation. It's just, but according to MAGA, we got him. That's our guy. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. He's the one. Oh, man. So they support a guy who stole documents. They support a guy who goes to Russia to continue to push the Putin propaganda. And what I find funny is, I said I was going to play this clip at the end. So Seb Gorka, who we all know, loves me so much that he blocked me. Same goes with Jack Posobiec, Pizzagate boy. Here we go. I'm just going to play a quick minute of this before we go. But this is Seb Gorka mercilessly mocks Pizzagate huckster dollar store version of Alex Jones. This is how it started. Alex Jones is right about Gorka.
Because it's not about Gorka, who's a nobody, wasn't even conservative, came into the Trump administration with fraudulent credentials, lied that he was a combat veteran. None of that was true. I mean, he's stolen glory. He's the snake oil salesman. He's everything he says we are.
He's telling the truth right here, okay?
But I learned the day I was there that Gorka was going around having people thrown out. And I just go, whatever, don't engage the gay well is what I call him. I'm not saying he's actually gay, but he's very effeminate in these pictures with guns posing with them. And, he's always sashaying around, shaking his booty, going, Gorka. So I'm just like, the gay whale. And the dude acts like a flamer. Now, the thing is flamers. He just, if I was going to cast a fat gay dude for a movie, it'd be Gorka.
All right. So that's Alex Jones. And this is Jack Posobiec. Remember, Pizzagate, okay? Pizzagate. This was the clip. And luckily, because I can't go to here, I'll show you. If I go to Jack Posobiec's page, his profile, Let's click this. This is what happens when you see it. Oh, I'm blocked. This is what happens during a live stream when you fact check Jack Posobiec in real time. He'll block you. This is Seb Gorka. Here we go. You're blocked. I mean, at this point, the funny thing about Seb Gorka is I was blocked and I had never tweeted about him. I'd never mentioned, I'd never spoken his name out of my mouth. Never. Someone had mentioned him in something and I went to his profile and was like, you're blocked. So I don't know what I said about Sebastian Gorka, but he had blocked me before I'd ever talked about him. Again, never tweeted about him. He blocked me and then he became a focus for me. And I usually proved him wrong or owned him in these Twitter spaces, which is where the line comes from. Love you, Seb. I was on a Twitter space with him and I was like, love you, Seb. And you can hear those clips. There's a Small Rat made a song that was guy with the last name Sanchez. And it's because Seb Gorka said, I don't know who this guy with the last name Sanchez is. It's like, all right. I mean, I don't know why we're bringing up my last name here and why it's so racially targeted, but okay. And that's which I went through and I was like, love you, Seb. And that is why, as Jim has here, love you, Seb. That's what that comes from. So this is me calling out Seb Gorka in a Twitter spaces with other right-wing idiots and them getting so triggered. But again, I'd never even mentioned, said anything, tweeted, made a video about Seb Gorka, but there was something along the way. I made a video of something. I tweeted, I don't know what I did, but at some point, whenever, before I ever even talked to this guy or tweeted about him, he had me blocked. The preemptive block from these guys who claim to be macho alpha males, I don't know. Sounds kind of weak if you block someone, especially if they never said anything to you. So Sebastian Gorka, so I'm going to do a what was that on this, and I'm just going to let these videos play for themselves because this is exactly what we need to see and we need to continue to push is this.
And I gotta say, like, this is probably the least trolly thing I've done all day.
You do a lot of trolly things.
Yeah, I do a lot of trolly things, but all I did was I put up a Periscope and I said dinner at Comet Pizza.
Jeff, did he just say that he's a troll?
I think he did, and he said this is the least trolling thing I've done. So that just means he trolls all the time.
But I thought he's like some big conservative intelligence expert.
Well, in the next clip, he's pretty good. He talks about the threat level and he assesses it. So you might be wrong on that.
Oh, let's talk about the impressive threat level. Let's listen to what this intelligence professional has to say about pizza.
A good intel officer will have done a better intelligence preparation of the battle space before they go into an event. And I talked about that, but
all of these, oh my God, all of these people are like, oh yeah, I'm an intelligence officer. I know exactly what to do and where to go and this and that. And I've got classified personnel clearance. No, they don't. They do not. They make it up. Seb Gorka is 100% a fraud. Went into the Trump administration with no experience and advised Trump on his foreign policies. Jack Posobiec is the man behind Pizzagate. Remember, a lot of this stuff is projection, okay? The fact that they're like, oh, go to Comet Pizza, there's a whole underground cabal run by Democrats, and we found the clues in WikiLeaks. No. That is not it at all. So when you hear these people and you see these people, you mock the shit out of them. And what's even funnier is the fact that they are attacking each other. Alex Jones is attacking Seb Gorka. Seb Gorka is attacking Alex Jones and also Jack Posobiec. It is amazing. Amazing. It is amazing. We don't have to do anything. They are cannibalizing their own. They are eating each other because they don't like that somebody called out the fact that they were a fraud. And they don't like the fact that they were called out for being a fraud in front of their audience. I mean, it's the same thing. When you look at how Republicans are handling each other, their own party at the southern border, that is a perfect case of them trying to compete with who's going to be more MAGA, who's more in love with Trump, who's more of a conservative Republican, America first, fighting red-blooded American. That's all that it is. That's all that it is. And they want to have the clout, and they want to grift, and they want to take over, and they want to say, I was here first. I was part of the truckers' convoy. I was the one stopping this caravan. I was doing this. I was doing that. It's all clout. It is all clout. And the fact that they're calling each other out now is because their egos are so small and so sensitive, so fragile, that if somebody were to claim something or do something that would give them more notoriety within the MAGA sphere, they don't want that. They can't have that. Because they need to be the one that's grifting. They need to be the one that's getting credit. They need to be the one that's in control, that's a thought leader in the MAGA space. So this right here, this is amazing. This is, remember, I've said it again and I'll say it again right now. A lot of this stuff we don't have to make up. We just have to continue to share online. Share that Seb Gorka said this. Share that Alex Jones said this. Share that they hate each other. MAGA cannot unite. They are not on a united front. That's it. That's all that it is. They will eat their own. And they're doing it as we speak. And we should not get in the way. No, none of us should get in the way. We should continue to say, hey, remember when Alex Jones called Seb Gorka a fraud? Remember when he's a stolen valor? Remember when Jack Posobiec said this stuff and then Seb Gorka made fun of him for it? Oh my gosh. Delicioso. It's perfect. It's perfect. Again, we don't have to make any of it up. All we have to do is share it. Because they put the material together. They're writing the ads for us. They're destroying their own base by themselves. So anyway, it is Thursday. I went a little bit over. I've got to go to rehearsal for a show. I will see you guys tomorrow for Bonehead of the Week. Thank you to everyone who showed up today. I want to give a quick shout out to people who are supporting me on the show. We got Shadow Noir, who we got $10. Thank you. We got Francis, new member. Thank you so much. We got Bill, or Real Bill P. Thank you so much. Thanks, man. You are a fine young man, always down to the truth and bullshittery, never back down. That's right. You know, despite what Republicans say, they do back down, but we don't back down is really what it is. H, thank you so much. I just keep wondering how much is this useful idiot getting paid, or how. I know. I wondered the same thing. Who knows? Who knows? Release the financial statements. I would love to see his tax returns. I want to know where the money's coming from, whether legally or illegally, you know? Sorry for the bad grammar. One too many margaritas here. Hey, I get it. I love margaritas myself, and no judgment. Okay? No judgment whatsoever. So you keep drinking those margaritas and enjoy them. Anyway, I want to say thank you guys so much. Thank you for showing up for another episode of What Was That? I gotta go. You all have a wonderful evening. Remember, like and subscribe if you haven't already. That way you know when new episodes come out, when the lives come forward on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, if you're on Twitch, you didn't know we're on Twitch, check us out. Come follow us, twitch.tv/IamGabeSanchez, whatever you prefer, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, or, you know, it doesn't matter as long as they're watching. Also, we have a Discord. You can go over there. We have a live show chat. We have topics, politics. You get access to the show, the episodes when they drop. People are trading and fighting Pokemon over there. It's crazy. And of course, I want to thank our wonderful moderators who do a wonderful job in the background, who keep things running, who keep the conversation flowing. So thank you so much. Thank you to the people who came to the show, who support me. If you want to support me further, you can go to ko-fi.com/IamGabeSanchez. That's ko-fi.com/IamGabeSanchez. You can also check me out on Patreon at patreon.com/I'm Gabe Sanchez. There's different tiers, different perks. You get merch, you get this, you get that. It's a whole blast over there. And remember, I will see you guys later. Thank you for coming to the show this week. I know this week was a little crazy because all the rain in LA, but thank you so much. I will see you on next Tuesday for another episode of What Was That Live. I'm working on a few more episodes this weekend. And if I don't see you before that, enjoy the Super Bowl and enjoy watching Taylor Swift make a mockery of the GOP and Republicans just by showing up. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later.